like that, we can ban them. Because if they're banned, then they can't technically DM that person, at least not link through this server.
Because think about it. When you first got into this, I was looking for places to talk to people about this. You know? You want to talk about it.
Dude, I grew in more flat Earth knowledge in 1 week in Discord than I had in the previous couple years knowing about flat Earth. I was a really busy person, and I still am, right? But so I was just like, at the time, I had to physically work. So like, I was just like, occasionally like, wait, how would this work on a flat Earth? I type it in with flat Earth behind it, watch a YouTube video that was pre-censorship. But then when I got on Discord, I'm like, whoa, live interactions. I'm hearing both sides. I'm able to ask any question. There are other veteran flat Earthers here who know things or have tons of resources. Like being able to get PDFs dropped to you and all that stuff is like, it's definitely a huge resource and it helps people a ton. But the part that's frustrating is flat Earth is a huge deal, but it's really the huge deal is truth. It's like people want to wake up to truth. It's about people waking up to truth, to the fact that we're being swarmed by lies. Almost everything we've been told is a lie, that they're poisoning us, that they're conditioning our minds, that they're attacking our children. That's the real, that they're trying to build a new world order that's digitalized. These are all facts. It doesn't matter what anyone says, right? But like the people that come in here and vehemently oppose flat Earth, they also stand up in defense of all of those other things they're doing to us. So we're like diametrically opposed in the grand scheme of things. It's truth and lies. And that's the part that's frustrating is like flat Earth to me, it's a vessel to wake people up so that people can realize like, oh shit, we need to do something. We need to come together as a group of people that are not going to just sit by and watch this happen to our children. And I know that sounds like almost preachy or cliche, but that's just the reality. It's the reality of the situation. It's like if someone is going out of their way to just stomp out the truth, and if we bring up fluoride and you have human beings in 2023 defending fluoride in water for infants, it's like there's nowhere to go from there. There's no like bridge, and they're more than welcome to think what they want, and they recruit people by opposing, right? Because what they say is so ridiculous. But it's like there is definitely a middle ground there where it's like, but you have a short leash. You're going against truth. So flat Earth is just the consequence of people waking up to the fact that we're deceived on a massive scale. That's all flat Earth is. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like it's bigger than just flat Earth is what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally. I'm trying to figure out what's the catalyst to get people to start looking at flat Earth. I've figured out the catalyst to get people to look up, but how do you get them to start questioning what it is that they're seeing on other levels? You know?
Well, the answer is unfortunate. It's literally just to have like popular podcast platforms that they already listen to start to talk about it. And me, Jaron, and Dave are going on like a huge show in a few days, and we're gonna start kind of like doing like the trifecta thing where us three go to the shows, because between us three, you're not going to be able to ask any question that you're not going to get a sufficient answer to. And Dave's going to be right there with the visuals. So I think that's the move. I think Dave has that right, where it's like the real move. People are going to wake up to flat Earth when they've been listening to Sam Tripoli for 3 years, and now he won't stop talking about flat Earth. When they've been watching High Impact Flits for 5 years, and now he can't escape flat Earth because it's always on there. It's like that's what makes people look into it. Like if flat Earth was all over Joe Rogan like it used to be, flat Earth would already explode. It's just about the fact that it's legitimized, right? Like it's like the perceived legitimacy of a bigger platform that they already trust and value. Speaking about flat Earth, that's how you get people to look into it. That's just the fact. It doesn't matter how good of a debate I have or how good of an opener I have, or if I write a report that's awesome or publish a paper, none of that matters. That's like nerdy. No one cares. They want to hear someone that's famous talk about it. That's the unfortunate answer. That's the way that flat Earth blows up. It's using famous people. There's just no way around it. That's my opinion. I mean, it'll happen gradually, or you have the explosion happen because like really big platforms start hosting the subject.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that there's things that come close, like second, third, and fourth place to the popularity aspect. One thing that got me into looking, I remember seeing Matt Powerland. What is his name? Matt Power.
Matt. Yeah.
Dude, that guy is hilarious. That stand-up routine bit that he did with the sunglasses and the cigarette. Like I wanted to start smoking cigarettes again. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And comedy, comedy is the brother of truth, right? Yep. So if we can get people to start laughing at NASA, I think that's huge.
That's the top 3, dude. And like I'm currently prioritizing the first 2, which is one is the bigger platform. We're literally putting it together right now. No anti-flat earther can stop it. No matter how much they foam at the mouth behind their mic on Discord, they can't stop it. So you guys can just let it go. The second thing is auditing NASA. That's because exposing NASA or the claims of space exploration immediately rips the glasses off your eyes. Like, you have no choice but to look beyond the curtain if you see that NASA is using fakery. It's 100% the way that you shove someone in the flat earth. And that's why we're auditing NASA. We already have so many big things that we're doing that no one knows about. It's like insane. So like having these astronauts on record and these employees on record and these documentation on record and their contracts and these admissions and these conflicting stories, right, where they're going against their official claims and they refuse to substantiate it with empirical evidence. That right there, like really demonstrating that they're lying is what I think maybe is right up there with popularity. You would use the popular channels to push that. And then comedy is right up there with it. It's really like a trifecta. I wouldn't even like prioritize them necessarily, but comedy just means you can talk about anything because it breaks the tension. But and I'll stop ranting. But the point is, one thing that doesn't exist is like a super well edited documentary showing how they can fake space. So that's like one of the list of things to do.
My whole journey on this started, I'm pretty sure, I can't be certain because it was so many years ago, but my whole truth journey began with NASA. The moon landings, that was a big conspiracy back in the 90s. The moon landings, they were fake, and that's what got me started. I don't think I would have been as acceptable of flat Earth if I wasn't already on the same page as NASA faking the moon landings.
That's right. Absolutely.
So,
but they've done somehow they've masterfully separated the moon landing from modern NASA claims, as if they lied in the 60s because of the Soviet Union, but now they're telling the truth. They've pulled that off somehow, where the vast majority of young people think the moon landings could be fake. Actually, they just don't know anything about it, and they've never even seen the footage. But they still just assume that NASA's really going to space now. Like, they had to lie back then, but not now, right? Because they're not even claiming to go to the moon now. So it's like, well, I think they go to space. It's just like, to actually go up there and land on the moon and get out and stuff is crazy, and that's why they fake that. So we have to find a way to bridge that gap, in my opinion. I know people that think the moon landing was fake, but they just can't wrap their minds around like flat Earth or that all space is fake, all space exploration. I'm making a documentary that's just going to completely expose NASA. If we all focus our energy on putting a target on NASA, it's over. That's how Kai woke up. Kai literally just watched a video where someone like Eddie Bravo or someone was just ranting about NASA fakery. And she's like, there's no way this is true. And she went and watched some of the videos and she couldn't unsee it. And then she became a flat earther within like a week.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. I've been taking notes. You've dropped some like massive truth bombs and just some really good I don't even know what you call it, just like self-awareness of what is the best way to communicate something, to curate an idea so that it will take hold and spread. Because we can.
Flat Earth was hard for me to swallow, even knowing NASA was faking shit. Like, I already knew NASA was faking shit. Flat Earth was still a hard pill for me to swallow.
Did anyone have a stomach ache for like 5 weeks after getting into fucking Flat Earth? I did. I was like, I felt like I was going to shit my pants for like 5 weeks. I was just like, this is so insane. Am I really? They lied about this too? Like, it was.
Like, I was already down with 9/11, NASA fakery, and Flat Earth was still a hard pill to swallow. So for normal people that ain't even into none of that shit, I don't know how easy that is. You gotta
it's like impossible. It's like impossible.
You gotta like lube them up.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Like, if you have someone that still that thinks like fluoride in the water is good, and that 9/11 was legit, like, bro, you're gonna try to talk to them about how their entire understanding of where they live is wrong. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Like,
that's tough.
yeah, that's why NASA's it's the gateway for sure, because when a normal human being watches an astronaut on the ISS reach out and grab an object that's not there, then go put it to his other hand, close that hand like he's grabbing the object, and then go set it down on somewhere, and nothing was in his hand, a normal person is like, that is super suspect. People in here,
that augmented. Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm saying people in here defend that, right? So there's a huge separation between the normal person and then like the globe proponents in here.
Yo, that's that augmented reality shit, bro. That's how they fake that. Shit's floating and whatnot. You know what I mean? It's all just that augmented reality. And we got that. Some kid could buy that now in their home, and that shit looks dope. So I can't imagine what NASA may or may not have.
Yeah, I'm making a video. I'm making a documentary style expose on NASA, and we're creating an entire production team. And Hibbler's going to run point, and we're just going to expose NASA with like 4K, beautifully edited and produced documentaries, like entertaining, where it's like, what the hell, dude? They can just be faking space, like dude. When Kai and I are sitting there and we were watching the ISS live stream yesterday, we're like, it's still mind-boggling to think like the freaking audacity of these people to lie about something so massive and to fake something so huge, that they're going somewhere that they literally can't. It's like, it's hard to wrap your mind around. It's like great TV. You know what I'm saying? It's like top level entertainment because it's just so like captivating and like mind boggling. We should really focus our efforts there, because if they're lying about space, well, you can't trust anything NASA says. Now, what do you got? If they can't go to space, you don't have any pictures of the Earth. So now what? Now you have to go to the Earth to figure out what's going on. Well, then flat Earth.
Yeah, that knocks a whole bunch of shit out of the box. GPS satellites, any photo from space. Yeah.
Yep. If you don't have that, you're forced to come down to the Earth, right, and then try to check it out. And we all know how that goes.
Well, don't they openly admit they know far more about space, supposedly, than they do our own ocean?
Yeah. What a joke.
Yeah.
This is actually.
They say, I think the number is 95% of the ocean hasn't been explored yet. And they also say 95% of the universe hasn't been explored yet.
No, but they claim to be able to look 46 billion light years away to the edge of the visible universe.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
I'm just saying it's different. It's different.
I'm just thinking it's funny why is 95% of the ocean unexplored? And then how much is the universe explored? And it's it's 96%. Yet there's a vast part, the other 96% that scientists cannot see. Funny.
Yeah, like if you guys know that Halle Berry was just in a space movie in 2022, and they have some behind the scenes footage. So what I'm doing is making a documentary. When I say I'm doing it, I haven't done it yet, and it's literally just going to show all the techniques that are openly known to fake space. Dude, if you look at Interstellar behind the scenes, dude, it's such a joke, bro. It literally shows them floating around identical to the ISS, bro. Identical. Floating around.
Have you ever
seen any wires? Good.
Have you ever seen the thing where somebody did a video? It was great. Like when they are faking space in the movies like that, there's this thing where they're always trying to keep their head vertical, orientated to the right position, basically. So you'll see them like leaning their head a lot. And then the guy did another clip. He did a whole bunch of cut scenes of the Hollywood people doing it. Then he did a whole bunch of cutscenes of the NASA ISS people doing it or whatever. That was pretty good shit. You see that
But
one?
you know
We
what?
gotta think of a really creative name for like the docuseries about space being faked. Like a catchy name.
You know what it really gives away with the ISS is that the clothing that they're wearing, especially these very tight pants. They remind me of the same pants you see when you look at these harness videos. You know, they always have these very tight pants that go around the your legs. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, there's times where you can see the wires coming out the back of their shirt and whatnot. Was it the guy in the red shirt bent over with the khakis or something? There's been a lot of
Oh yeah,
times
Yeah.
where you can like see evidence of the wires. The guy in the USMC shirt is practically grabbing one.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
No, he's grabbing the pocket. You know, that's what they say.
Yeah, I know.
It's so stupid.
But we need to
It's,
be having conversations face to face with these people that claim to have been on the ISS.
you know,
Because
the
they're gonna
funny,
have to look you in the
I'm wondering
eye
what
and lie.
that grown man grabbed another grown man.
but you know what the sad
Like if
thing
I
is.
was falling, which go ahead.
I just want to say the sad thing is they say the claim is that he's grabbing the pocket. Why then is the guy who is being grabbed? Why is he reacting in such a weird way? Like he's smiling and then has this cringy way of swiping his right eye. Why the weird face expression as if he was caught or as if something happened that shouldn't have happened?
But this is what I'm saying. This whole rabbit hole is a waste of time. Like when we start responding to the completely absurd nonsense that the ballers in here say to defend the fake NASA footage, it's a waste of time. 99%
Yes.
of the public would laugh at those people. They'd be like,
Well,
oh,
I was gonna
okay.
Well, I was going to comment on that. I mean, I do, I hear what you're saying with that, but I mean, like, what did you think about this, like, general idea of a statistic? Like, out of, let's just say, 100 random people, there will probably be like 10 or 15% of them that will be like a hardcore NASA defender person. Maybe it's even 20%. That will actually veer towards that side. And some of these guys you're mentioning, whether in here, who are in that percentage, just happen to be ones that are like they have a certain level of like it's like a hobby or interest or focus, or they might have a little bit of knowledge or experience in some of these fields or whatever it may be, to where they're just like they're like a fan of it or whatever you would call it, to where they're like in here in that sense. But I don't think it's like, I think it is, there is a decent percentage of people who will have that like very, very resistant, rigid kind of viewpoint, to where they'll probably never change their perspective and they'll just defend the globe and NASA all the way.
Well, the globe and NASA are two different things. Like, I would maybe give you 10%. Like if you showed 100 people, someone like side by side, someone doing VR for a movie where they're grabbing things that aren't really there, right? And you show them from all angles. They have to look at the screen ahead of them, and they're watching the screen where the object's supposed to be, and then they're reaching out to grab it. So they're guiding their hand by looking at the screen, and it shows that side by side with what's really going on. There's nothing there, right? And then you show them the NASA footage of the guy grabbing the hat because he thought the guy was going to hand it to him sooner, then transferring it to his other hand and then setting it down when nothing's there. I think that at least 90% of the people would be like, that is super suspect. But for the group of people that are like pretend out loud that it's not even kind of sketchy and that you're absurd for even thinking it's sketchy, I don't know, maybe 10%, bro. Like when we're gonna come to there's easily 20% that will never let go of the globe Earth. But
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah.
but
I mean,
NASA
like,
though, but defending the NASA fakery once they see it, I don't know, man. Maybe.
I mean, I've often mentioned my older brother, who is like, if he was in here, people would, I don't use that term anti-flat earther, but I know people do, but people would definitely label him that. Maybe someone would even call him an agent or something, even though I know he's not an agent. He's my brother. Like but he is like, he's very like, he's an engineer, a computer engineer. So he has a lot of education. He's very intelligent when it comes to like mechanical systems and electronics and engineering. And I mean, like he has a wealth of knowledge in a lot of different sort of scientific fields in that way. So as you know, but sometimes the more educated are the ones who have more of the globe programming, more of that information, because like when I've talked to him, like he actually has like when you talk about refraction and stuff, like he actually has decent points, like considering the fact that he hasn't been in these discussions, and he'll talk about all the, a lot of these things, and he knows about Coriolis effect and the Foucault's pendulum. He doesn't know all the information about all of it, but he does know a lot of those things just because he just has the education, to that point in the mainstream system. And he's very rigid. I mean, I've talked to him to the point to where he's opened up a little bit, and he's definitely interested in it. The way that he's always like asked me questions like, well, what about this? What about that? But I mean, he's done to me a decent amount of the ridicule and scoffing and, oh, it's ridiculous to think that NASA's faking. So, I mean, he is one that would be on that rigid, that 10, 20%.
But Gio, have you ever watched the NASA videos with him? Like, because this is the way my friend was, my atheist best friend, right? He was like this. And then I sat down with him and we smoked a joint and we watched a compilation of the NASA footage, and he like was frozen. He was like stuck. He's like, this doesn't mean the Earth's flat though. I'm like, okay, but that's not what we're talking about. Like he couldn't unsee it, bro. It like shattered his whole world because he's an honest person. So like you can truly believe in the globe and not be dishonest, right? You can defend a lie but believe it, so you're not lying. But when he saw them making the footage, he couldn't even defend it, bro. I would be amazed if you could sit down with your brother, smoke a joint, and watch the hour documentary I'm going to make that shows all of it and shows all the techniques you can use to do that and all the failures matching exactly what their failures are, and then just breeze right past it, because that's like a talent almost.
The stat I'm wondering about is how many people would you show the NASA thing to They'd be like, oh man, they're faking space. Then relate it to the globe not being real, and then backtracking and starting to make excuses for why the footage looks like that or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I bet you that
it's a tactical approach. Like, let them do that, because now you're making them consciously decide to go back and lie to themselves. That's way better than like not even doing that. You see what I'm saying? Like it's like you're chiseling away at the cognitive dissonance, because then one day they're going to wake up and they're going to be a different person to talk to. It's going to be like a 180, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, even my brother has shifted in his perspective. Like I've had some pretty heated sort of discussions / debates with him, just spontaneously, him and I talking. And he actually is more open-minded, even to the point to where sometimes like he'll just say to me like, oh, so the Earth is flat, and he'll kind of smile, So he does have like a little bit of that just kind of like twinkle in his eye in a sense, even though he still will ridicule it and suppress it or whatever. But I've also said things to him that he knows he logically can't easily refute. And so there's that part of it as well. But no, I'm just saying, I just think like, I know that you're often very critical of these like rigid kind of globe guys. And I hear you on that. I do think that they are, there's certain toxicity, and especially like you said, if they're like against the truth, it's like, what role are they playing and all that. But at the same time, like if you have an open platform, in a sense, there's just going to be that percentage. Even if there was like thousands and thousands of new people coming in, I still think there would be that certain percentage that would be like these other guys. Like they would become like that, that label anti-flat earther. They would just be on that side of it. So even if you brought like 1,000 brand new people in, like I would maybe say like 10% are going to be like, these are just random numbers I'm throwing out, but it's like, in my sense, like 10% would just be completely rigid to the globe, like absolutely 100%, like Dave Farina style, rigidity, as it were. And then maybe another 10% would be like that, but a little bit open, which is probably more the category my brother's in. He's actually a little open. So now you got those 20% of that. And then maybe there's a whole nother like 40% that are pretty much just open to hearing and, pretty open. So now you got 60 total. Then maybe the last 40% are quite open-minded, or maybe that last bit, is slightly different percentages, whatever it is. So I'm just saying that there is like just a percentage to have that.
Yeah. Well, see, like I'm only basing my numbers on like when I traveled around the U.S. and like those aren't like a definitive survey or something like that. Especially when people are just scared to approach that conversation publicly. But dude, for sure, it's different than in this room, bro. Like whenever people defended the globe in real life, like they didn't know anything, and they very quickly changed their tone, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is not stupid." And when I talk to people in the real world, they didn't know anything, bro. So like they get a pass. They're entirely forgiven intellectually, right? They've never seen the guy pretend to grab something that wasn't there. They've never seen the guy's hand go through the microphone. They've never seen that. They've never seen Don Pettit pull up the coffee and then the color literally displaced from the vat. They've never read the Antarctic Treaty. They don't know what it is. So like those people, they don't count. Those are just normal people. And that was 99% of people, bro. 99. I went in every environment you can imagine. I went to the NBA finals. You got a whole bunch of men with their wives, every age group and walk of life you can imagine. I went to like college party public squares, like in New York City. I went to Washington Park.
Did you ever go to a Christian church setting?
No, yeah, one time and just rebuked them for having statues. But
well, it might also be worth considering. It might also be worth considering that the people who came up to you were already open-minded enough to even come up to you. There might have been some in the background that are just, so in such a state of abhorrence about it that they wouldn't even come talk to you.
That's true. And but like for example, with the college students, they don't care. They're just there partying. And honestly, they were kind of triggered, right? Because I'm like killing their vibe. I'm like talking about something so heavy, and they're like, I'm trying to get laid, basically. You know what I mean? But still, and
I think somebody's breaking up.
No, it might be you.
And so they were not really feeling the convo. But when I would point blank ask them, because I would drag people in with money, so I'd be like $100, $200, $300. So people start talking to you at that point. That's why I think the numbers are a little bit more represented, like evenly represented, as opposed to just like, oh, well, people are open-minded, that's why they're talking to you. Well, no, I'm offering them money, right? Like just answer a couple questions. You get $300 cash, no questions asked. Don't have to pay to play. That was like, when I did that, you had aerospace engineers and physicists and bro, they didn't know anything, man. When I brought them up to Antarctica, they would say, there's no way that's true. I would show them that it's definitely true. They'd be like, that's pretty suspicious. I'm not going to lie. I don't, like, you would never hear people ever. I've never heard anyone. I mean, there may have been the occasional time, right? But they'd be like, no, you can go there right after reading it. You're lying. You can go there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that there is a difference. I'm not going to make any number claim. I may be hyperbolic when I say the 99. For sure, the vast majority of people are not like the people in this room that defend the globe. Like, for sure. Because my experience showed me that, and it's just not the same. It's not believing in the globe and choosing to kind of be willfully ignorant is entirely different than obsessively hearing every single detail and then putting tons of your life force and energy into coming up with excuses. Like, those are totally different things. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my
That's the difference. Dude, that's the difference between a globetard. A globetard is a hardcore troll. Like, a normal person never heard of flat Earth. Like, they never investigated at all. Like Geo and I, we both have I don't know if it's your older brother, who's just like, and even Helio. Like, Helio's best friend is his brother. He don't want to hear it. Like, he's been working on him, chipping away for years, and he still don't want to hear it. He's a reasonable person, right? So even the people that you talk to, they might hear you, but it just doesn't connect. You know what I mean? They'll hear you out, but it doesn't necessarily mean the elevator goes to the top floor.
Yeah, but see, that's the way my dad is, right? So my dad has chosen to be willfully ignorant. I sent him a video from Greg Grease, 10-minute intro, really nice, like basic intro to flat Earth. It's been this many years, he can't truly look at it. When I showed him the Chicago skyline, he's like, oh, now you believe what's on the news? I'm like, are you suggesting it's fake? You know, he's like, you go do it yourself and then show it to me. Right. So it's like, he just chose to ignore it. And then when I sent him that video a couple of days ago, he's like, not even tempted, like as in not tempted to watch. And so he's chosen to ignore it. But if he had to sit down with me and like we went through the Antarctic Treaty, or we watched that video together, or we talked about the specifics of the conversation, my dad would never, ever, ever do mental gymnastics and start lying ad hoc to make up excuses for the lies. He would never. That's why he can't look at it. He can't look at it because he knows damn well that I'm smart. And if he has to sit there and have an in-depth conversation with me, he won't be able to unsee or unhear it. Right? Those are two different things, though. Those are totally different things. Choosing to be willfully ignorant because of fear or inconvenience, or you don't want to like be a part of the minority or think something crazy. I don't respect that, but that's totally different than like truly listening to all of it. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, that's a rarity, bro, to be able to hear all of it.
Is your dad religious at all?
Yeah.
He's Christian, or?
Yeah.
And he still disregards like the Bible?
Yeah. Well, I haven't even had an in-depth conversation with him about what the Bible says about the Earth. I said that Hebrew cosmology is clearly a geostationary plane that's enclosed with the firmament. This is like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And then he's like, okay, yeah, they didn't know everything back then. I'm like, oh, yeah. So you think the Messiah, the Son of God, came to Earth and didn't tell everyone they were wrong about the Earth? And he's like, well, he didn't tell them about polio either. I'm like, what? So, I mean, and so it got triggered because he had to stop the convo right there, because he knew that if we kept going, he wasn't going to be able to avoid the logical conclusion.
I think it's a pride thing.
It's but it's a blue pill thing too. He wants to grab the blue pill. He doesn't. And your dad's obviously an intelligent man. Same with my brother. Same with Geo's brother. Like they're not unintelligent, but for whatever reason, they can't get past that mental block. Like it's that, you know.
I'll tell you what the reason is. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying they always choose the blue pill. They, like you said, willfully ignorant. That's where their comfort zone is. And they don't want to cross the line.
Well, I could tell you why they can't. Go ahead.
What's the reason, Jeremy? Someone's hot micing though.
It's because inside your brain, in your mind, whatever, you got a model of the world, right? Everyone's model is different. You know what's in your dresser drawer. You don't know the layout of my house. We all have different models of the world we live in, right? You know the layout of your neighborhood and your city. I don't. My shit's different than yours, but at the bottom of it, they all have us sitting on a globe at the foundation of the model of where you live in your mind. You know what I mean? It's ingrained in you from birth. They push it on you hard, globes everywhere. So that's why some people can't let it go. Like I said, I was deep into conspiracy shit. I was on board with 9/11, the moon landings, wild shit, bro. And that was still a hard pill for me to swallow because of that reason, I think.
Yeah, we realize that, but we're trying to figure out, like, when somebody has like a logical conclusion to make that's contrary to their belief, like, why are they so quick to
because it's the foundation of where they are in reality.
It's a mental prison, dude. It's like not everyone's wired to be that free thinking. Not everyone. It's a rarity. Like every argument you make, they can't refute it. But it's like, picture like a bank vault with the door welded shut. They're just incapable of opening that door. It's just such a strong mental barrier that no matter how intelligent or how reasonable your argument is, that door is just shut for them. They're incapable of opening that door in their brain. For whatever reason, it's brainwashing.
I mean, well, that's what we're trying to figure out, like what that reason is. Like,
they're just
I thought
wired.
It was God.
They're wired.
Thought it was God, but it's not God. Because I mean,
it's not wired. What Jeremy's their foundation, right? They're in their safe space. They don't want to lose their safe space. Their foundation is what they've been told. If that is a lie, or is that changed, then their whole world's going to go upside down.
But it's a mental barrier.
They can't deal with the change.
It's a mental thing. It's strictly a mental barrier.
They also don't want to be wrong, and they want to be like knowing like they were fooled or whatever.
That's a good one.
That's what I
like that.
That's what I was
Elbow,
thinking, right?
nice.
Every one of us here has someone we can't reach, like a close family member. We just can't reach them. And it's like, if you don't trust me, who do you trust? And it's not even about trust or whatever. They just can't cross that bridge. It just.
I think it's the other way around. Like you're lucky to have one close family member or friend that you can show.
That's what I'm saying.
Without.
Yeah, I mean, you could like. I have two brothers, and one of them gets it. He got it right away. But my older brother, maybe it's older brother syndrome or whatever, just incapable of crossing that bridge. It's just like, don't waste your breath. And I think every one of us has a person like that we're close to. We just can't reach, like his own dad.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's the other way around. I think most people are impossible to reach. Like you're lucky if you find one that is willing to listen and draw the conclusions with you.
I mean, it's like it's the easiest. The flat Earth is the easiest thing to prove, but the hardest thing to convince. It's nearly impossible to like wake someone up to it. But it's getting better. It's getting better because everybody knows somebody who's a flat earther. Like everyone knows somebody.
The vast majority of people that deny flat Earth don't know what flat Earth is. Okay, that's the way that they're able to deny flat Earth is to prevent knowing what it is, to prevent looking into it. Right? None of them know the history of the government did this, they explored this, they shut down this, they did this. They don't know any of that. So
right, they might only know about.
That's all willing. That's like willingly unknowing. Like that's the stuff that they don't want to look at. Like you could show it to them and they would just turn the other ear to it. They're not interested in that.
You know what I found? They have to have the foundation of the fake moon landing and 9/11 under their belt, or they're not going to cross that barrier. Just forget about it. It's just not happening.
Yeah, and my dad can't do 9/11 because he was in the Army. He can't even like. I was like young when I told him about that. He couldn't even handle it, dude. He got mad at me, bro. My uncle was in the car. We were on the way to a baseball tournament that I was playing in, like a travel league, and my uncle had to like stop me because like he could tell my dad was like getting emotional because he was in the Army.
Same here. My dad was a medic, so it's like
the Middle East thing is like a soft spot because he like missed my birth because of Desert Storm and stuff, right? When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, blah blah blah. So, I think that's a general part of it. But like, my dad knows. This is the truth. This is what's so sad about it. My dad knows that if he sat down and had to watch like what the government did and find out the history, he would believe flat Earth. He would. He knows that there's something there because he's like, oh, this is just a fad. Austin won't be a flat earther in a couple of years. 7 years later, I'm more about flat Earth than ever, you know? So he can't look at it, bro. He knows there's something there and he can't look at it. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's disgusting, but it's not the same as like hearing it all out and then consciously making the decision to twist it, to deny it, to hide it, to try to prevent other people from seeing it. Like that's like a whole nother level. Like my dad would never do that. You could put a gun in my dad's head, he wouldn't do that.
Can you start with a smaller red pill? Like, don't give him the giant red pill. Just give him a pink pill, something smaller.
I don't think it's any different than fucking crypto though. Like when you look at Bitcoin, how many people knew about Bitcoin early on, or even, you know, throughout half its existence, its life existence, and still chose to be like, oh no, that's rat poison squared, that's bullshit, it's a Ponzi scheme. And it's only until recently like people are starting to accept it.
Well, it was
on
difficult
the mainstream
to buy.
level.
Back in the day, you had to go to these shady little hole in the walls to buy it. It was like Silk Road or like these really shady exchanges like Mount Gox.
I know the whole history, but
I'm just saying it wasn't as easy as today. Like now you can go to a vending machine.
Yeah, but even at that, you still have people that are just like don't understand it, don't want to understand it, think that they don't need to like understand it because it's not going to be a part of their future. They just don't. They don't get it. They don't want to get it, and it's a large portion of people out there that feel that way. And it's advantageous, obviously, for your financial well-being to be understood on these things. But yet, still, despite that, even with like how materialistic people are today, they still just like arrogantly turn their head on it as if they know something better. It's just like, wow. I think it all just goes hand in hand with like how conditioned people are to just
There's also the
I don't
idea
know,
with
man.
the Earth, like approaching it in a way of just the Earth itself, like not even going into 9/11s and moon landings and liars and huge cabals that are deceptive. Now, people are their mind's gonna think, okay, well, if the Earth really isn't the globe, then yeah, there's got to be some stuff like that going on. There has to be orchestration and a huge deception going on. But I'm just saying there is the approach of just talking about the Earth directly, and what we can actually empirically observe and test and validate ourselves, to the level that we can, at least in terms of the Earth not being the globe model. I mean, what it actually is more complex to get to the root of. But I'm just saying, in terms of that part of it, instead of having to frame it in a way, it's just another perspective. Instead of having to frame it in a way that it has to be in a lineage with the moon landing and with 9/11 and those kind of criminal events.
See, but you have to be willing to disregard, keep a completely open mind. And most people say they are a free thinker, but they won't go there. They won't, you know what I mean? Like even people that are onto the other conspiracies, this is just too much. They can't go there. And they'll know about the banking cabal. They'll know about 9/11. And even still, it's difficult to bridge this last hurdle.
I know, but I'm just suggesting the idea of not having to link it to those things and just having it be just an empirical. Because you talk about the Earth like it's nature, like it's the Earth, like it's the soil, the trees, the rocks, the water. I'm just saying, like, that isn't necessarily okay. Like, yes, there is a group, as it were, some cabal, as it were, that are doing the globe lie, and they're also doing the 9/11, the other things, in my viewpoint, a lot of our viewpoints, that those things are connected. So it would make sense that it's linked. But I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily have to be. Like, a discussion could be had with someone that doesn't necessarily involve all of the conspiratorial side of it.
Mostly younger people, I notice. Like if you're under a certain age, like teenagers, young kids, they're not as conditioned. They're not as hardwired. So it's easier to just show them, and their mind isn't molded. The more education you have, the more rigid you are in your beliefs. The more like his dad or my older brother, they're just rigid in their beliefs. And even though you make a perfectly sensible argument, it goes right through one ear and out the other.
Yeah, but I think you could be touching on like legal boundaries at that point with like the whole Disinformation Act and everything else, like persuading some influential individual to, disregard common.
Well, that's where the truth. That's what George Orwell said, that in the future, telling the truth will be a revolutionary act. That's where we're at. Like they will probably try and make this a law, a disinformation law. It's like, wait a minute, this is true. The truth.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like from adult to adult, in public, it's one thing, but you start like putting that on kids, like, yeah, you could wind up in court, bro.
My nephew knew when he was like 4.5. My brother didn't want to lie to him about anything. He's like, no, I'm going to tell him the truth about Santa Claus, about the flat Earth, and he got it. He totally got it because he wasn't programmed.
I've been saying the government lies all the time.
Geo, how can